Welcome to the Deep Dive for Factory English, Episode 4. Today we are going to talk about a very down-to-earth topic in a factory, the shop floor.
Yeah, the shop floor. It's basically where the magic happens, right?
Exactly. I mean, imagine a space the size of like 3 football fields. You've got buzzing robots, sparks flying from welding stations, maybe some automated forklifts just gliding by.
Oh, yeah. And, in that environment, a single delay or even just one misunderstood instruction can cost a company millions of dollars.
Literally millions. So today our mission is to really master the language of that exact room. Whether you are leading a production team or maybe coordinating logistics from a desk, or you just want to sound like a true manufacturing insider during your daily meetings, well, this deep dive is completely for you.
Yeah, and we've got a great source text today to help build that vocabulary. Just to give you a quick plain English summary, the text does 3 things. First, it defines what the shop floor actually is.
Right.
Second, it outlines the 6 main activities that happen there every single day. And finally, it explains exactly why this space is really the beating heart of any factory.
It really is the heart. So to make sure you have the full context, before we start, unpacking all this vocabulary, we're going to read the entire source text for you verbatim.
Sounds good.
I'll start with the introduction. The shop floor refers to the physical area within a factory or plant where the actual production work takes place. It's where raw materials are transformed into finished products through a series of processes like assembly, machining, welding, and inspection. Here's a breakdown of what happens on the shop floor.
And I'll take the bullet points. Production. This is the core activity where the actual assembly or processing of products takes place. Material handling. Moving raw materials, WIPs, and finished products within the production area. Quality control. Inspecting products at various stages to ensure they meet quality standards.
Doing great. Keep going.
Thanks. Equipment operation and maintenance. Operating machinery, performing routine maintenance, and addressing any equipment issues. Inventory management. Keeping track of materials and products on the floor, including managing stock levels and minimizing waste. Problem solving. Identifying and resolving issues that arise during production, such as machine breakdowns or quality defects.
Perfect. And I'll read the final sentence. In essence, the shop floor is the most important venue of a factory, where plans become tangible products, requiring a coordinated effort of people, machines, and processes to achieve efficient and high-quality production.
There we go. It's quite a dense piece of text, honestly.
It really is. Very information-packed.
Yeah.
But we want to break this down so you can actually use these phrases naturally at work.
Yeah, let's unpack it.
So let's start with those first 2 sentences, which really set the stage with the definition and that idea of physical transformation.
Right, so looking at sentence 1, the shop floor refers to the physical area within a factory or plant. I think the phrase physical area is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. Well, it means a space you can actually walk into. It's an environment that requires, like, safety glasses and steel-toed boots. It's definitely not a virtual space or an office.
Oh, absolutely.
But the word that really trips up English learners here is plant.
Oh, right. Because, in everyday conversation, a plant is just a green thing with leaves sitting in a pot on your desk.
Exactly. But in manufacturing, a plant is a massive industrial facility.
I always pictured it being called a plant because things are essentially grown or, built there from the ground up.
That's a cool way to think about it.
Yeah, just like a flower, but with metal and plastic. You plant the raw materials, and a product grows out the other side.
That makes perfect conceptual sense.
Yeah.
And you'll hear it constantly in collocations like manufacturing plant or assembly plant or even power plant.
Yeah. So if we look at the second sentence, it says, it's where raw materials are transformed into finished products through a series of processes.
Right. And the fundamental contrast there is raw materials versus finished products.
The starting stuff versus the ending stuff.
Exactly. Raw materials are your ingredients. If you make cars, your raw materials are giant rolls of steel or pallets of plastic pellets. And the finished products are the shiny new cars going onto the truck.
This totally reminds me of a really busy restaurant kitchen.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Think about it. The shop floor is basically the kitchen of the business. The raw materials are the uncut vegetables and the raw meat in the fridge.
Yeah.
And those ingredients are transformed into a finished product, like a fully plated hot meal, through a specific series of processes.
Right. So in a kitchen, those processes are chopping, baking, plating.
Exactly. And on the factory floor, they use different processes. The text lists assembly, machining, welding, and inspection.
Yeah. And for anyone working in this field, Learning the specific collocations for these processes is a game changer.
Like which ones?
Well, take machining. We often use the phrase heavy machining.
Does that just mean the metal is heavy?
Not exactly. It implies a large-scale, really powerful industrial process, where massive tools are cutting large blocks of raw material.
Oh, like carving an entire airplane wing out of solid titanium.
Precisely. And then there's welding. That's essentially melting metal parts together to fuse them.
Right, but there are specific ways to talk about that too, aren't there?
Definitely. A super common one is spot welding.
Spot welding.
Yeah. Instead of a long, continuous line of melted metal, spot welding uses electricity and pressure to make just small, targeted welds.
Oh, so it's like putting a single, really strong dot of hot glue between two pieces of sheet metal.
That's a perfect analogy. And for inspection, the phrase you'll hear constantly is final inspection.
Which I'm guessing is the very last check.
Exactly. It's the absolute last quality check before the finished product gets packed into a box and shipped out.
So if you're talking to your manager, you wouldn't just use basic phrasing like, we do things to the metal. You'd elevate it.
Right. You'd want to sound like an insider.
You'd say, the raw materials go through heavy machining and spot welding before reaching final inspection.
Which sounds so professional.
But obviously, the raw materials don't magically jump from the machining station to the welding station by themselves.
No, they definitely do not.
Which naturally brings us to the first two bullet points, production and material handling.
Right. Production is listed as the core activity. Translating core activity into plain English, it just means it's the main job.
The primary reason the building is even there.
Exactly. Every other job in that plant, the human resources team, accounting, logistics, they only exist to support this core activity. If production stops, money stops.
But production can't happen if the parts aren't right in front of the workers or the machines.
And that requires a massive logistical effort.
Which the text calls material handling, defined as moving raw materials, WIPs, and finished products.
We really need to zoom in on that acronym, WIP, or plural, WIPs.
Yes, it is everywhere in manufacturing. What exactly does it stand for?
It stands for work in progress. Though in some companies you might hear work in process. Both mean the same thing.
So what is a WIP conceptually?
A WIP is something that's no longer a raw material because a machine has started modifying it, but it's not a finished product yet.
It's trapped in the middle.
Exactly.
I've always pictured a WIP as like a half-built car just sitting in a dark room overnight waiting for the next shift to arrive.
Well, that's one kind of WIP.
Is it actually more dynamic than that? Like, does it include things that are physically moving right now?
Oh, absolutely. It includes both. A WIP might be resting in a bin waiting for paint, or it could be actively moving down a conveyor belt at 30 miles an hour.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And moving them requires specific handling equipment. That's another essential collocation you'll hear.
Handling equipment. So what counts as handling equipment?
Forklifts, conveyor systems, automated guided vehicles, pallet jacks. Basically any machinery dedicated entirely to moving things from point A to point B.
Got it. So we have the core activity of making the product and handling equipment, keeping all those WIPs moving.
Right.
But if things are moving fast and machines are running hard, well, things are going to break or mistakes will happen.
It's inevitable.
So you need systems to protect the product and the machines, which shifts our focus to the next two pillars, quality control and equipment maintenance.
Let's look at quality control first. The text says it's about ensuring products meet quality standards.
Meet quality standards.
Yeah, that's the key phrase to lock into your professional vocabulary. A standard is an exact measurement a product has to achieve.
And the verb choice there is so important.
It really is. You don't do a standard, you don't make a standard, you meet quality standards.
Like, we need to adjust the machine to ensure these parts meet quality standards.
That sounds incredibly natural and fluent.
I also noticed the text emphasizes inspecting at various stages, not just at the end.
Yeah, that's crucial.
Because if you wait until the car is fully built to realize the brake lines are defective, you have to tear the whole finished product apart.
Which is an absolute nightmare. That's why quality control is woven into the entire process.
Right. And just as you monitor the health of the product, you have to monitor the health of the machines.
Which brings us to equipment operation and maintenance. Operating machinery, performing routine maintenance, and addressing any equipment issues.
Let's pause on the word machinery for a second.
Oh, yes. This is a classic grammar trap for non-native English speakers.
It's about countable versus uncountable nouns, isn't it?
Precisely. On the shop floor, the word machine is countable. You can add an S to it, like, we installed 3 new machines today.
Okay, simple enough.
But the word machinery is uncountable. It describes the collection of machines as one whole concept.
So you can't say, I have 3 machineries.
Never. You simply say, we have a lot of heavy machinery on the floor.
That distinction alone will make someone sound so much more fluent.
It really does.
And looking at the actions associated with that machinery, the text mentions performing routine maintenance.
Yes.
When I read that, honestly, I immediately thought of brushing your teeth.
Okay, I have to hear this. How does factory maintenance relate to brushing your teeth?
Well, you don't wait until you have a terrible toothache and need a root canal to start brushing your teeth.
Well, hopefully not.
Right. You brush them every morning and every night specifically to prevent the toothache from ever happening.
Ah, I see.
And that is exactly what routine maintenance is in a factory. You don't wait for a giant robotic arm to start smoking and catch on fire.
No, you definitely don't.
You clean it, you lubricate the joints, you check the belts regularly, routinely, so the breakdown never happens.
That's a great way to explain it.
Right.
And missing a day of that brushing in a factory can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars in downtime.
Wow.
Routine maintenance is entirely preventative. But, even with the best prevention, real life happens and things still go wrong.
Right, which is why the text mentions addressing any equipment issues.
Notice the professional vocabulary there. We don't just say, fix a problem, we address an issue.
Address an issue. It sounds much more strategic and managerial.
Exactly.
So the machines are humming along because of our routine maintenance, and quality is high because we're meeting standards.
Sounds like a perfect factory.
But a factory can still completely fail if it doesn't manage the massive physical volume of stuff lying around.
Oh, yeah.
Or if it can't quickly recover when a process hiccups, which leads us to the final 2 activities, inventory management and problem solving.
So for inventory management, the text mentions keeping track of materials, managing stock levels, and minimizing waste.
There's 2 really specific workplace phrases there.
Yeah, stock levels and minimizing waste.
Yeah.
Stock level is pretty simple. It's just how much of a specific item you physically have right now.
If it's too low, production stops entirely.
Right. But if it's too high, you run into the second concept, which requires a bit more explanation.
Okay, yeah. So the text places minimizing waste under inventory management. But wait, when I hear the word waste in a factory, my mind immediately goes to, literal garbage. Scraps of cut metal or bad parts going into the recycling bin.
That's what most people think of.
So wouldn't that kind of waste fall under production or quality control? Why is it an inventory issue?
That is a fantastic question. In conversational English, waste does mean garbage. But in manufacturing English, especially if a facility uses lean manufacturing principles, waste has a much more financial meaning.
Interesting.
Having too much inventory sitting on a shelf doing absolutely nothing is considered massive waste.
Just because it's sitting there.
Yeah, think about it. Imagine a factory orders 10,000 extra steering wheels just to be safe.
Okay.
And those wheels just sit on a warehouse rack for 6 months. That is company capital money tied up in plastic and leather.
Money that can't be used to pay workers or buy new tools.
Exactly. Plus, it takes up physical floor space. And what if the engineers suddenly change the design of the car tomorrow?
Oh, then you have 10,000 useless steering wheels.
Right, and then they actually do become literal garbage. So minimizing waste in inventory means keeping stock levels perfectly balanced, not too high, not too low.
Okay, so it's really about financial efficiency and flow, not just sweeping up trash off the floor.
Exactly.
That is a huge insight for understanding how factory managers think. Let's look at the final piece of the puzzle, problem solving.
The text defines it as identifying and resolving issues that arise during production, such as machine breakdowns or quality defects.
We get 2 excellent professional action verbs here, right?
Yes. Identifying and resolving. You identify an issue when you investigate and figure out exactly what's going wrong.
And then you resolve it.
Right. You resolve an issue when you implement a permanent fix.
And I really want to highlight the word defect.
Oh, yeah, that's a crucial one.
Because a defect is a flaw or an error or a mistake in the physical product itself. It's vital vocabulary for operations.
Definitely. Like if a brand new smartphone screen has a tiny scratch on it before it even goes in the box, that scratch is a defect.
So let's see if we can tie these all together in a sentence. A supervisor might get on a radio and say, "We identified a quality defect in the WIPs, and it looks like a machinery issue, so we need maintenance to resolve it before it impacts our stock levels."
Wow. That is a perfect fluent sentence.
Thank you.
It uses advanced vocabulary and shows how everything is interconnected. A failure in one pillar, like maintenance, instantly ripples through the WIPs, the quality control, and the inventory.
Which brings us to the grand synthesis of the whole text.
Yep. Look at the conclusion.
We've looked at all these isolated things, heavy machining, handling equipment, stock levels, but they aren't isolated at all. They all converge into one ecosystem,
Right.
and that's captured in the final sentence. In essence, the shop floor is the most important venue of a factory where plans become tangible products, requiring a coordinated effort of people, machines, and processes to achieve efficient and high-quality production.
From a language perspective, the phrase "in essence" is a fantastic tool for you to keep in your vocabulary belt.
It's basically a great summarizing phrase.
Yeah, it means basically, or to summarize the most important point. So whenever you're in a meeting and you need to wrap up a long explanation, just start your final thought with "in essence."
It signals to everyone that you're delivering the bottom line.
Exactly. Like, in essence, we need to address this machinery issue today.
It sounds so commanding. Now, let's look at the text's use of the word venue.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice.
Because usually when you hear venue, you think of like a place where a wedding happens or an arena where a rock band plays a concert.
Right, the specific location where a major event takes place.
Using venue in a manufacturing context almost elevates the shop floor, doesn't it? It makes it sound like a grand theater stage.
I really like that imagery.
Think about it. The engineering blueprints are the script. The workers, the automated vehicles, the robotic welders, they're the actors. And the shop floor is the massive stage, the venue, where this complex performance happens every single shift.
And to successfully put on a play with hundreds of actors, you need what the text calls a coordinated effort.
Right, because if the forklift driver misses his cue.
Exactly. If he doesn't deliver the raw materials on time, the robotic welder has nothing to weld. The whole line stops.
The play collapses.
Yep. Coordinated effort means multiple moving parts working together in perfect harmony. And the result of this performance isn't applause.
No, it's tangible products.
Tangible. That's a great word.
Yes, tangible means something you can physically touch with your hands.
Right. An abstract idea is not tangible. An engineering drawing on a screen is not tangible.
But the heavy steel car part or the glass phone or the fabric jacket you produce, those are tangible products. They have mass and physical reality.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener, navigating your own career or studies right now? Let's review our core takeaways.
Let's do it.
We've learned that the shop floor is much more than just a room with a concrete floor. It's a dynamic ecosystem defined by those 6 main activities: production, material handling, quality control, equipment maintenance, inventory management, and problem solving.
And a failure in any one of those immediately compromises the others.
We also broke down some highly specific workplace vocabulary today.
Yeah, remember that plant refers to a massive industrial facility.
Remember the crucial acronym, work in progress.
And how it represents the flow of materials. Also, keep in mind that machinery is an uncountable noun.
Don't add an S. Practice using collocations like heavy machining, spot welding, routine maintenance, and meeting quality standards.
And when you want to confidently summarize a thought, start with "in essence."
We really encourage you to take these concepts out of this deep dive and into the real world. Tomorrow, when you walk into your workplace.
Or even if you just pull up a video of an assembly line online.
Yeah, take a close look at the environment. Try to mentally label these activities happening in real time.
Exactly. Look at a cart moving a bin and tell yourself, that is material handling.
Look at a technician inspecting a robotic arm and say, that is routine maintenance to prevent downtime.
Labeling the professional world around you using the correct English terminology is absolutely the fastest way to build workplace confidence.
You transition from just understanding a text to actively participating in the environment.
Total.
But before we go, we want to leave you with a final, lingering question to ponder, especially as the manufacturing world continues to evolve so fast.
It really is changing rapidly.
Our text beautifully described the shop floor as a venue requiring the coordinated effort of people, machines, and processes.
Right.
But as we look toward the near future, automation and artificial intelligence are just growing at an exponential rate.
They are everywhere now.
Machines are taking over more of the physical production, the complex material handling, and even using cameras for automated quality control.
Yeah, it's wild to see.
So as the machinery becomes smarter and more independent, how will the people on the shop floor adapt their language, their daily roles, and their problem-solving skills to manage the machines of tomorrow?
That is a massive shift to think about. It's going to change the very vocabulary we use to talk about our work.
It really will. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep practicing, keep observing, and we will catch you next time.